Hi there, welcome to I Won't Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And we're going to do this 10 card spread. And then we're going to see how people could be handling this energy. This energy is available to people in like a high vibe energy, but people have free will. And, depending on people's emotional maturity level and what their truth is and how they view life, they might harness it in a more worldly, shadowy way. So Virgo energy can be about what our truth is, the lessons that we've learned in life, how we've healed or grown or matured ourselves or not done that. And in a world of duality and having free will, some people's truth is that they're still kind of more caught up in themselves, the world, or their ego, or their image, or their defensive nature, their immature nature, lust, greed, pride, ego, or just still kind of caught up in the illusion of the world and still looking to certain things, either things they indulge in or what they make their life about is kind of more important than sometimes living their authentic truth. And other people have been kind of growing and healing and maturing themselves and have learned some more lessons in life or tempered their more immature egoic nature or defensive nature to see that the truth is love makes it all worthwhile. And they want to be in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people based on high vibe Virgo, and high vibe energy is about being balanced. Do I want some of those things of the world? Yeah. But am I willing to sacrifice truth and love and justice and fairness and to have those things? No. And some people still are. And, we're all in our own situations at different times in life. And so it's just to see the truth. If you're someone who, more tipped in favor of having hope and faith and belief and love, you'd kind of like to be in relationships with people who are like that, working together cooperatively in mature, just fair ways. And sometimes, some of the people that we're working with in different facets of life, that's not their truth. So, some people like to be bossy and controlling and prideful, and it's hard to work with them. So just to see the truth of it, accept the truth of it. Okay. So I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading. It's the mice card. Let me get my little cheat sheet here about the houses. Oh, the second house is Taurus energy, about I have. So Taurus energy has to do with our philosophy of life, and it kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life. Some people have these things, the mice card can talk about these things that eat away at the foundation. And again, it can be, their fear, their pride, their ego. Shadowy Taurus can be more about the ego and the image and the status. High vibe Taurus is about working through those things to see the truth of those things and to really kind of walk the talk. And some people will, some people won't. At the end of the story, we have the ship moving forward in Aries energy about kind of what we're motivated and inspired by. And the poverty card I view as Taurus energy also, because it's like the Five of Pentacles. Everybody's going to move forward in what their truth is until they, we'll all live our life a certain way of viewing life until we see through something that kind of manipulates us, or we heal or grow or mature ourselves. Some people have a lack mentality. Some people are more aligned with, I have to work with these things of the world. That's the most important thing. I might not listen to my intuition. I might not have faith and love. Haven't maybe learned to love myself. Then it can be looking to find other people to inspire and motivate them to love and believe in themselves, but they never do that work within themselves. So it kind of stays in a more codependent relationship. At the heart of the matter, we have imprisonment, which I view as Gemini energy, kind of like an eight or nine of swords, and the 8, 9, and the 10 of swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature of free will. What is our truth? How are we going to move forward? What motivates and inspires us? And this has a feminine figure in it, and the feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine figures can talk about how we're presenting ourselves in the world and the action that we're taking. Some people keep their more emotional nature imprisoned. Emotionally, they're like impoverished. And so they can want to be in relationships with people who are looking to other people to love and nurture them because they haven't learned to love and nurture themselves. And other people in high vibe Gemini, they're kind of keeping their more shadowy nature imprisoned. And they are inspired to learn and grow and heal and mature themselves. So, we have our dualistic nature and either our more shadowy natures in the driver's seat of our life, driving the ship, or our more loving natures kind of in the driver's seat. One or the other is kind of the one that is sitting in the back seat. And when we are working together with other people, we just need to figure out which one kind of is in the driver's seat of their life. Because if love is in the driver's seat of your life, you need to be in relationships with other people who kind of offer love and encouragement to their more shadowy nature to keep being inspired by high vibe Gemini, Aries, and Taurus of having hope and faith and belief in love. Otherwise, you end up in a more mismatched relationship. And as time goes by in the relationship, one person's trying to move things forward, another person kind of can't move forward authentically, kind of differently, because it's not the truth sets us free to move forward in life differently. We heal or grow or mature ourselves. And the people who haven't learned to love themselves and they're really operating more from their shadow nature, again, which can be defensiveness, pride, ego, they kind of try to wear down the foundation of the high vibe people in their life to keep them moving forward with them not really being more just or fair or authentic or loving. But the high vibe people end up feeling left out in the cold with people like that. And, some people are somewhere in the midst of this. Some people have already moved on from people who they realize their truth was different. Some people are in the midst of being in relationships with people who are like that. Some people are just getting in it and they don't realize it. So, we start out with the gift. And the gift is the Ace of Pentacles. We're either still more caught up and looking to these things of the world to be the answer to our problems, like, I just need to get in a different relationship or go get a different job, or this is the answer to my problems. We either see the truth. In high vibe, the pentacle is seeing the truth. And I have seen the truth that I hold the key to unlocking the prison that I'm in. I am the only one who can really free myself from the things that manipulate me. But other people think, no, I'm going to go drink this, eat this, get in a relationship with this person, go do these things. All those things will be the answer to making me feel better. Well, that's codependent energy. Some people were already in that, and it's like, I can only free myself. And kind of the mice card kind of reminds me of a 5 energy of like the 5 of swords or the 5 of pentacles. The poverty card is like the 5 of pentacles. And the 5s talk about change. I can offer truth and love to other people in the star card to try to get them to have hope and faith and belief in themselves and to look at life from a higher perspective. And then with the dog card to kind of have that more hopeful, believing energy within them. But I can't make them with the mountain card, which I kind of view as a Virgo card, but it also says Capricorn on it. I can't make someone do the work, because that's also what the pentacle energies can talk about. I can't make someone do the work that it takes to free themselves from the things that manipulate them. If they think in the unlocking card that they have found the answer, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I could do that. I could do the inner work, because Virgo, talks about doing the inner work within yourself to work through your fears, your insecurities, your past pain, heartbreak, your defensiveness, your self-limiting beliefs, your pride, your ego, whatever, immaturity. Well, that all takes work and effort. It takes a lot of work and effort to change. You have to deal with the truth. And some people, shadowy masculine cards, doesn't matter if people are male or female, they could decide that the answer is, I'm just going to keep operating more from my egoic nature, my more worldly nature, instead of connecting in with my emotions, my intuition, my hopeful, believing nature, putting in work and effort to heal and grow and mature myself. No, I don't. I could do that, but that takes a lot of work and effort. I think I have an idea. I'm just going to operate from my ego, and shadowy energy can be like, I'm going to wear this false mask, present myself as a more healed, stable, grounded, mature person than I really am. And I'm sure I can find people to work with me with the bees card, which says Virgo, and the key, and this ship. I'll just wear my false mask. I don't have to deal with these issues. I'll just go find someone to be in a relationship with. I'm sure it'll all work out fine. But the problem is that's staying in denial of the truth, that they have these issues that kind of eat away at them. And they can think, no, being in a relationship with this person, that's the answer, or drinking this, eating this, getting a different job, whatever, that's the answer. And I don't have to deal with these things. But as time goes by, they still have their same issues that they had when they tried to move forward. And eventually those things, kind of become apparent. And then if they move forward with other people who do seem to have done this work within themselves and they've freed themselves, they unlocked themselves from some of the things that used to eat away at them. High vibe energy is being independent of your more worldly, fearful, immature, past pain, heartbreak nature, to be independent of it. But you had to do the work. You had to invest in believing in yourself, and the dog can be like loving yourself. And it also, what's it say? Fifth house. What is the fifth house? Leo energy, which is kind of like being in the energy of the sun. I can choose to belittle and berate myself. I can choose to be in friendships and relationships, and I've probably been in some where I felt rejected and out in the cold and unloved, and it seemed unjust and unfair. And some of those people I invested in, I did not view them as those kind of people at all. They could have seemed like they were a shining star, that they were these loving, nurturing people. And to a degree, some of those people could have been loving and nurturing people. But they had their own things that kind of manipulated them. And as time went by in the relationship, maybe as one person was kind of healing and growing and wanting to really bring the dream into reality, the other people are like, well, I'm willing to be in a relationship with you, but I have these things that manipulate me. So I am basically going to keep repeating a pattern, a way of interacting with you, because I have something that manipulates me that I haven't freed myself from. Well, then we move forward with them in relationship, and then we kind of feel left out in the cold. And it's like, why isn't the dream really coming into reality? Why aren't we? This card also says, Leo, why aren't we moving forward? Why aren't we all putting in the same work and effort to be more authentic and loving and encouraging and supportive and keep healing and growing and maturing ourselves? And sometimes we have people who come into our life and we come into their life. And we can be loving and encouraging people because maybe we went through some similar situations and we could have that in common. Or we're just kind of at the same stage of life. But one person at some point during the relationship could start to do some of this work within themselves and the other person didn't. And then the other person is kind of ready to move forward a little differently, having a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves because they worked through some of those things that manipulated them, and the other person didn't. And then, it is kind of like, you know, Taurus energy kind of, it impacts. Taurus is like the Supreme Court in our head based on how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we view life, what we think is just and fair, our emotional maybe maturity level. And while some people want to keep looking and viewing life a certain way, and other people, us, could have looked at life that way too at one point in time, sometimes with some people in our life, we just do kind of get on different pages. Could everybody kind of view everybody as a loving, encouraging person that had been in their life? But one is kind of ready to move forward, and sometimes we were the one who wasn't ready to move forward, and we had people in our life that had more hope and faith and belief in themselves to be inspired to move forward in life a little differently. That's what the poverty five of pentacles card can mean in high vibe. I lived my life this way. Maybe this can represent the four of pentacles, where I had this way of viewing life, and we were all there. We lived life and viewed life a certain way. That was the foundation in the four of pentacles that we operated from. But then as we kind of got inspired to do this work within ourselves, to look at some of those things that manipulated us, we kind of freed ourselves. So then we're not like the same person we were before. We changed. You could look back at any point in time in your life and how you looked at life a little differently just because maybe you participated in some things that made you feel more confident within yourself, you know, whatever it is. But it's like subtle shifts because Virgo energy, it's our Virgo nature that gives us that Ace of Pentacles, that when we're ready to deal with the truth and be inspired to deal with these issues within ourselves, that kind of in our fire sign energy of Leo and Aries, we do look at life a little differently. We do have a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And it's kind of like, again, Aquarius energy can be about believing in your dreams. I viewed life this way. I thought this was living the dream, but it could keep me kind of imprisoned where I'm kind of not like growing to my full potential. And I might want to keep living my life a certain way out of my fears and insecurities of detaching from something. To go from the four of pentacles to the five of pentacles is kind of like moving forward, and in high vibe. Well, we could be more codependent on people. We could have friends, family. We could live in a certain town. We could have a certain job, and we're afraid of letting go of that. And in high vibe energy, being more independent to take the lessons that we've learned, that, I did enjoy this and I could have fond memories of it. I might not even want to leave it, but I do have a dream. And so if we don't keep kind of, I don't want to stay living my life in a way where I feel like, I guess the best way to say it is just that I didn't feel like I kind of grew to my full potential, like stunted growth. And Virgo can talk about, I do have these unique skills, talents, and interests and capabilities. And I want to go kind of pursue those to see, you know, growing to my full potential. And though I might not want to leave something that maybe was in my comfort zone, and it could even be people that I have love for, but to go live my authentic life, I need to be bold and brave and confident to go pursue my dreams. And there's some people in our life that are like, that's great. You go do that. That's your truth. This might be my truth. Maybe I would like to live my life a little differently too. But, you know, some people are 80 and you're like 30, and that they're kind of at that stage of life. Would they kind of like to maybe go do things life differently too? Yeah, but that's not in the stage of life maybe where they're at. Some of those people could be fearful of the people who are going to go out there in the world that, take these lessons that you've learned. Don't let people try to manipulate you or control you. Stand up for yourself, love yourself. So, sometimes when we part paths with people or we're kind of moving forward in life a little differently, some of the people in our life are offering us love and encouragement. There could be people who are moving forward, maybe sometimes if it's like friendships or romantic relationships, where we kind of were on different pages at a different time. We wish them peace and they wish us peace. But sometimes people got in different relationships and, they've got to let that old relationship go, but they wish people peace and love, but they're moving forward with what they're moving forward. You're moving forward with it. You're moving forward with. Um, but some people in our life are people working with us to bring this dream into reality. Some people wish they could. People could wish they had. Some of those people wish you peace, and then there can be other people that aren't happy. If there are people that view life a certain way and that kind of is their comfort zone, maybe not being more independent, not being more Leo energy can be about being their more authentic self in the world, so they could be more comfortable making their life more about conforming to the world, keeping their more authentic nature kind of imprisoned, operating a little bit more from their ego, and it can just be about conforming to the world. Some of those people could be sad that some other people weren't willing to stay in relationship with them and let this more worldly viewpoint of life manipulate some of the high vibe people. And some of the high vibe people are like, would I like this maybe to work? Yes. Would I like you to come with me and be more, put in work and effort to be more authentic and more bold and brave and work through these issues that manipulate you? Yes. But if you're not willing to do it, I can't keep living my life like this. This might be your comfort zone, and you might be okay with making your life more about the world or letting other people manipulate you that you could be codependent on. That's not my truth. And so I am going to move forward in life differently. Now, some people, because they know they don't want to live life differently, but they could know that you wanted a dream to come into reality with them and that you had love for them. And at one point in time, you were putting work and effort to bring this dream into reality. And then at a point, you came to see that some of the people that you were working with kind of have these things that manipulate them. Whether you have a job, a friendship, a relationship, if you were hoping a dream was going to come into reality, working together with some people, offering high vibe energy, love, and encouragement to people, but they keep saying, no, 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 I can't do that. I'm kind of bossy or controlling or more about me, and I'd have to work through all these issues in order to work together for things to change. So, same way if you've worked for an employer and some of the people you work with or supervisor kind of invest more in indulging themselves in their more immature or stubborn or prideful or bossy or whatever ways of being. Eventually they're going to have some high vibe employees who move on. It might get them up in their head and some fear that other people are going to see the truth. But, if they are in a position of power or influence, they could keep thinking so long as they're in that position of power or influence and other people are codependent on them in that workplace, they might keep letting the high vibe people go because they're kind of codependent. Some of other people in the workplace or people who work with that person are codependent on that person. And they might have fear of trying to find a replacement for that person. So if that person's kind of shadowy, you know, it might be hard for them to find people who are willing to keep staying, say, in a job and keep working with them. And the same thing can happen in relationships. Some people, try to present themselves as, oh no, I'm not selfish, I'm not greedy, I'm not more about me, I'm not immature, I'm not manipulative. And then people get in a relationship with them and they find out they are. That they have other things and people in their life that they're codependent on, and they're not going to become independent from those people or that way of living life, or step out of their comfort zone, or just be more authentic. But sometimes shadowy people try to trap loving people in a relationship with them, create the illusion that they're high vibe too. And they could be people who can be, kind of loving and encouraging in a relationship, and they could put in work and effort, maybe in the Virgo Capricorn energy and the star card, where they have put a lot of work and effort to having a certain status and image in the world, maybe looking very stable and Taurus, very stable, very abundant, having a certain status or image in the world, or attractive or charming, whatever. They know that people can be drawn to wanting to be in relationship with them because of these. But again, it can be looks, it can be charming, it can be money, power, influence, whatever. They know there's other people who would probably be willing to be in a relationship with them. And it's a big draw for people to want to get, because we all are tempted in our more worldly nature. We want those things of the world. And the thing is, in a lot of ways, it can look really great. But what if it's not our truth? What if we know the other person that other people might not know about does have these issues that manipulate them, or that they're manipulative, or they're full of themselves, or controlling? Then it's like someone hoping that because you're a loving, nurturing, supportive person, like you harness these energies in a high vibe way, they try to create the illusion they do, but they harness them in a more shadowy way. But then it's just to try to lock someone in, to get them to invest in it. And some people right now are trying to get someone to invest in a dream with them, hiding the fact that really you don't know it, but I'm going to try to imprison you in this. I'm hoping to use the love that you might have for me, and the fact that you want some of these things in the world, the stability and security, and to be in the relationship, have the job, whatever it is. But shadowy people, because at the big picture, shadowy energy is kind of represented by the devil. All of our fears, our insecurities, all these things that manipulate us. And there's other people in the world who operate, and their truth is they do operate more from their shadowy nature. It is trying to manipulate people. High vibe people are operating more from their hopeful, believing nature. Do they have their shadow nature? Yes, but their more hopeful, believing, loving nature is kind of in the driver's seat of their life. But shadowy people can try to get loving people in a relationship with them, and then use the fact that they're this loving person who wants these things to work out, puts a lot of work and effort to make things work out. High vibe Taurus, to move things forward, to act with character and integrity, put a lot of work. Taurus is also fixed sign energy. We get into things. Aquarius is fixed sign energy. Leo is fixed sign energy. We get into things and then kind of we tap into our fixed sign energies to make things work. And it can be hard to transition out. And Virgo is the one of the energies we can tap into to help us transition out of things. But we have to have hope and faith and belief in ourselves, see the truth, put things in perspective, not get up in our head, and take action based more on truth and love. And love is supposed to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And if you find out that someone wasn't who they said they were, you've been putting in work and effort and love and encouragement, but it never moves forward, the dream is never really coming into reality, they're motivated and inspired to move forward in a more shadowy Virgo, Leo, and Aries and Taurus. Let's keep putting in work and effort. This is good for our ego and our image and our status. Neither one of us wants to leave it. Neither one of us wants to go find a different job, friendship, or relationship. This works for me. Well, it works for them if they're more about the ego or the image and indulging themselves in a relationship. And high vibe energy wants to have, in high vibe Leo and high vibe Virgo and high vibe Aries and high vibe Taurus, like, I had a dream. I wanted to be in relationships with people who were who they said they were. That's high vibe Leo. Who in high vibe Virgo put in work and effort to work through their more immature worldly nature to be free and independent, inspired by truth and love. And that's not the truth. And even though I might have a hard time leaving it, I'm not going to stay in something where I feel like someone is trying to use, like, the devil against people who have hope and faith and belief and love, because God wants us to keep giving birth to new things, to keep shedding old layers of ourselves, to keep giving birth to a new us. Death and renewal, death and transformation, like my nesting dolls. We were 15. We shed that layer to give birth to being an 18-year-old. Then we were an 18-year-old. And then we worked through our fears and insecurities to shed that layer to become like a 21-year-old. And we're meant to do that throughout our life. But for some people, that, everybody has their way of viewing life. And it's like, might I have put in work and effort to shed some of those old layers when I was younger? Yeah, but I have a way of viewing life, and I don't really, I only do what's kind of maybe required by peer pressure of the world. Once I get a job and I get in a relationship or something, I'm good. I just either have a worldly view of life, that this is my truth. I think it is more about the ego and the image and the status. I might leave my more authentic, inspired by truth and love nature out in the cold, imprisoned. I don't choose to free willingly invest in harnessing these energies in a high vibe way. I free willingly choose to align with working with them in a more worldly, shadowy way of living life. That's my truth. That's how I want to move forward. Some people saw the truth of it. They did this work within themselves. I could stay in it, feel left out in the cold. It can be abundant in a lot of things of the world, but being inspired by truth and love and authenticity and passion and creativity, and that's missing because the other person kind of rejects that aspect within themselves. And the other people are like, I can't do that. And some people are feeling that way right now, and it's kind of eating away at them. But it's like shadowy people knowing, well, I know you're a loving, nurturing person who puts a lot of work and effort to try to make a dream come into reality. I don't think you'll want to leave. So I can use that to try to manipulate you. Thinking, the devil, thinking they hold the key, that they're more powerful than love. And the loving people say, I don't like feeling manipulated. You created the impression that You weren't bossy, controlling, more about yourself, more about the ego or the image. You created the illusion it was about love, but that doesn't seem to be your truth. And I see the truth of it. And I have a dream, and though I could have love for you, I am going to do this work to free myself to go live my truth. And if you want to come with, you can, but you have to work through these things that manipulate you. You have to detach from some of these ways of living life or viewing life, or be more independent of your ego nature, that it should be more about you, or free your more authentic loving nature, instead of keeping, when you let your ego run your life, it's like your authentic nature just looks out through the eyeballs, but it doesn't really get to live life, because their self-protective egoic nature lives their life. Well, you can do that, but you're going to have to do it with someone else. And some people thought for sure, oh, it won't work out. You'll come back. You'll want to do the relationship the way I want to do it. And some people are like, I would rather be out here in the cold, detached from this, and I'll work through. I'll offer truth and love and encouragement to my feeling left out in the cold. And some people did. And then they add the one pentacle to the five of pentacles. Well, for one, they keep offering love and encouragement to themselves, and they do detach. They get to that next phase of life where they are feeling better within themselves and believing in themselves and putting in work and effort to keep moving forward. And then the one plus the five gets the six of pentacles, where we're feeling more balanced within ourselves and grounded within ourselves and hopeful and believing in ourselves. And then when we're ready and we've done that inner work within ourselves, we're ready to go have that new beginning. And other people are at that stage. Some people are just at the stage with people that they're in relationship with, whoever that could be, kind of just seeing the truth, offering love and encouragement to people to work together with them. If the other people are like, I don't know that I'm willing to do that, or they show the truth that they're not willing to do that, then the high vibe people are like, well, I wish you peace and love, but, if it has to be more about you, if I think you're immature, if I think you're trying to manipulate me, if I think, I don't know, you don't know how to work together with people cooperatively, I'm going to wish you peace and love, and I'm going to keep moving forward. So, we can have people in our community, in our workplace that, we try to work together with them, and then we can see by maybe the actions that they take that they're not really ready to work together with people like that. It's like, okay, it's just like accepting that, well, thank you for letting me know that you have fears or insecurities, or you're immature, or, it's just dealing with the truth of it, and then kind of focusing more of your time and energy on the people in your family, in your workplace, in your friendship group, in your community that do work together with you, who have learned some of the same lessons that you've learned and are working together with you to move forward in life. So let's go see what could be coming up. What's coming up for some people who right now are willing to deal with the truth, willing to see the truth that some people in their life might want to be indulged, might be kind of immature, are manipulative, have other things that manipulate them, that are moving forward with people in their life who they think are more on the same page as them. What's coming up for those people? Okay, we have this card not showing itself and the Justice card. And the reason those came out is because of the Nine of Wands. So, the Nine of Wands is Sagittarius energy, also the third fire sign energy. And the thing is, I do think it's kind of like our fire sign energy that has to get on board. And I think sometimes it's the last one to get on board. Because in our fire sign energy of ourself, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we can be really pretty caught up in these things of the world and in ourself and these things we want to go indulge in and all the things that the world, Taurus, right, can be getting caught up in these things of the world. All these things of the world tells us to make our life about. Some people went and made their life about those things, and it kind of felt a little imprisoning. They offered truth and love to the people in their life to, let's bring our own dream into reality. Let's live our more authentic life. Do we still maybe live in the same place and have the same jobs? And yeah, but let's be more inspired to quit letting those things be the priority and really work through some of the why we make some of these things and certain things we do or indulge in or make our life about, to really get clear about what our truth is, to really let love and intuition guide why we do what we do in life. And in High Vibe Sagittarius, about this higher learning and education, it's about being inspired to want to, and probably seeing the truth of kind of some things that are manipulating you and others. And I don't like to feel manipulated by these things. So let's work through it. Let's wrap our brain around it and maybe quit, because the 9 is like the start of closing out a cycle. And then in the 10 of Wands, we take that action to go have this new beginning. There's some things that maybe we just shouldn't kind of keep investing in those kind of things, or that way of viewing life or viewing relationships, or letting those things be so important in our life. And we kind of close out that cycle. It's just like when you went from 15 to age 18. I'm not going to go back to thinking or acting like a 15-year-old anymore. And for some people, it was more about looking like a shining star in the world. It could have been more about them. Could have been more about the world and how other people viewed them. It's like, how about we quit being so concerned about how other people view us and we just go live our authentic life? But because some high vibe people were inspired to move forward in life a little differently and to stand up for themselves, which maybe before, it's always trying to love and encourage other people to change, and kind of maybe realizing the person who needed to change was me, and I needed to stand up for my truth because basically the other people are standing up for their truth. Well, if that's not my truth, that's not my truth. And I have to be willing to stand up in the justice card for what I think is just and fair. Everybody else is living their life and investing time, energy, and effort into things that they think are just and fair. And if that's not my idea of what's just and fair, then seeing the truth of it. Hope it works out for everyone, whatever high vibe, low vibe, worldly, whatever. But that's not my truth. And if other people are investing in other people, I see the truth of that too. And I accept the truth of it. And I believe that the divine is working to get me the justice I deserve, because I can only have my dreams come into reality with other people who are inspired kind of by that same dream. And, if I've freed myself from certain things, I need to be in relationship with other people who have freed themselves from certain ways of viewing life or living life or philosophies of life, of kind of what they think is just and fair in the workplace or in friendship or relationship. And right now, some high vibe people could have had some people in their life who were trying to manipulate them. No, I don't want to heal or grow or mature myself or be more independent. I don't think you'll love and believe in yourself. I think you'll come back. And it's like, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to do life like that. And I see the truth that this is how you want to live your life. And some of those people are investing in new people, repeating this pattern with a different person. It's like, well, peace be with you. I hope that works out. I'm moving on because I realize that's not my truth. And so because some people are getting inspired to stand up for themselves, believe in their dreams, love themselves, putting in work and effort to free themselves from things that manipulate them, Other people in the world that you don't even know are also moving forward. And all of this helped you work through how you used to harness this energy in a more shadowy way. Because if you don't change, there's always going to be other people in the world, just like some of the other people that you've been in a relationship with. And there was some reason why you were kind of drawn and attracted to them, right? And why you, because we can all repeat certain patterns. We can all try to get other people to change. I was like, I'm done trying to change other people. I'm willing to go get in a relationship with someone who challenges me to change and to love and believe in myself. And maybe that was it. But you now, what some people in your life don't know is you don't harness this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way anymore. They could see you moving forward in life and detaching and investing in yourself and investing in your dreams. They just don't know how you're doing it. Well, for one, you're standing up for yourself, and they're maybe not standing up to their own shadow nature, their fear, their insecurity, their immature nature, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego, or other people in their life that they are codependent on, or repeating this pattern of thinking, I don't have to change, it's other people that have to change, and then always trying to change other people. What they don't know is you harness this energy in a more high vibrational way now. The Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is, I view as Leo energy. You before, emotionally, were kind of like a lot of people in the world, were kind of more caught up maybe in the world and these things of the world that you wanted to invest in. And now you've kind of looked at life from a higher perspective. And there's so much more to you and the world and the ways of looking at life, not making those things the driving factor in your life anymore. Now you're harnessing high vibe Queen of Wands. You're inspired to keep healing and growing and maturing yourself and learning these lessons. Life is about learning lessons. I have learned so many lessons in my life, and all the different people who could come into my life, I have valuable lessons to learn from them, whether they're hurtful and unkind. Yep, not my, I don't think that's just and fair. Yep, nope, not going to invest in people who are like that. Thank you for showing me maybe how you couched it and hid it, but eventually I saw the truth of it, so I've learned it could have forced me to learn to love and believe in myself, to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, to stand up for what I believe in, and to see the truth that I'm not going to settle for being in relationships with people who are unjust, unfair, bossy, controlling, manipulative, full of themselves. And you're inspired within yourself to believe in yourself to get the justice you deserve. And I think feeling more balance within yourself, because when we're in more shadowy energy, we're kind of tipped out of balance, and then we can get in these more mismatched relationships where other people in the world are happy we're kind of tipped out of balance. Oh, are you a really hopeful, believing, loving Nate person, but you haven't really learned to stand up for yourself and require it to be just and fair? Wonderful, let's get in a relationship. You give, I'll take. And now is kind of having learned that lesson that I need to stand up for myself and what I believe in. I can be a loving and encouraging person to people, but if people show me that that's not their truth and they don't work together with me, being more like high vibe Virgo would be mature at whatever maturity level you're at, and being more authentic and inspired to work together to move things forward in a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving way, then I'm not going to keep investing more time and energy and effort. I wish you peace, but I'm going to focus on the people who do work together with me that way. And you were willing to get out of your ego about the situation, get out of your competitive nature, your wounded nature, whatever. High vibe Leo, you gave yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. You overcame people who were maybe trying to use the love that you had for them to manipulate you. And you're balanced. And when you quit kind of being in your ego about it, you are then able to detach from people in your life who operate more from their worldly egoic nature. You shed that layer of yourself, you're moving forward, and I think you're going to have these new beginnings aligned with your truth and getting justice in the world. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? The Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Knight of Wands. So, the way this can be read, the shadowy people kind of want to juggle the truth, and in shadow, the Two of Pentacles can be kind of two-faced. I want to present myself as someone who is more high vibe, but really, I'm really kind of driven more by my fear, my insecurity, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego, or just being more about myself or how it benefits me. And because they keep juggling, there's going to be some people in their life that are going to communicate with them. In high vibe, the Two of Pentacles can be that some people are done going back and forth and they're picking up their investment in them and they're leaving. And, when people have been able to be kind of shadowy in a relationship, bossy, controlling, immature, defensive, prideful, whatever, loving people in their life can keep being loving and encouraging for a long time. But, there comes a time where eventually people say, enough's enough, I'm done. And that can always be a shock to the people who kept counting on the fact that they kept thinking the people they were in a relationship with were going to keep like going back and forth within themselves, debating, should I leave? Should I go? And eventually the people communicate with them, well, this has been going on, and I've been loving and encouraging to you. I've also been being loving and encouraging to myself to figure out why I stay. And eventually, it's kind of like the last time. Do you want to work things out with me in a just and fair manner and move forward with me? And if those people are like, nope, I'm going to keep doing this, I still don't believe that you love and believe in yourself enough to go. And that's when the people tell them, I'm leaving. And then those people might be a little bit up in their head because shit, but they still probably won't believe it because this tactic has worked before, this tactic has worked with other people. They know they don't love and believe in themselves to be more independent, go through a period of feeling left out in the cold. They know they keep getting manipulated by their fear, their insecurity, their ego, other people in their life. So of course they think you will too. But there's going to be some people in their life that are like, I'm done. I accept the truth. You want to keep doing this, you keep showing me this is what you want to do, which is kind of continuing to juggle and being immature, expecting me to keep indulging you, and I'm done. Then from like the 1 wand to the 9 of wands is the 8 of wands, which is moving forward in life quickly away from these people. To get away from these people and to stand up for yourself and what you believe in. And odds are the shadowy people will keep doing what they're doing, still not wanting to see the truth, that they might need to heal or grow or mature themselves or quit being shadowy. Taurus can be stubborn and prideful. Shadowy, all of these energies can be kind of full of themselves. Oh, well, I'll just go get in a relationship with someone else. There's other people who will probably indulge me in these ways of being. And some people have like, yeah, I've reconciled myself with that. I know I didn't like being in it. And I worked through my ego of accepting the fact that you probably were going to repeat these old patterns with just someone else. And I'm not my ego. I mean, that can take some time to work through the ego of that, but eventually people keep working through it. And as they keep seeing what action they're taking and seeing what action the other people are taking, it's kind of obvious that you're motivated and inspired by different things. And it's kind of seeing the truth that they have the free will to move forward in life differently, especially when you distance yourself from them and move away from them. And you keep seeing they keep doing the same old thing over and over. They lack inspiration to move forward in life differently or take action and work through these things that manipulate them. And what they don't see coming, if some of them don't want to see what manipulates them, the more high vibrational people in their life are going to be defensive to them, whether it's friends or family or community members or coworkers. There's always other people in the world who have lessons learned from people like this. Because we're the Knight of Wands, like the Nine of Wands, is Sagittarius about learning lessons. Some people haven't learned lessons from people who are like this. And so there's going to be new people. It's kind of like God uses everyone for God's good purposes. These people serve a purpose in the world to help people decide if this is their truth or not. And there'll be new people who are willing to get in a relationship with them. And then those people will go through this same situation for them to decide if there's someone who's more motivated and inspired by hope and faith and belief and love. If they keep thinking, no, 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 I'm sure this person will change one day. Or realize the only person I can change is me, and I might be tempted in my more worldly nature. The Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. I might be being more tempted in my more worldly Taurus Virgo nature to kind of keep indulging people in this situation out of my more worldly nature. And as long as I keep aligning with my more worldly nature, I'm going to be in relationships with people who are more motivated by their worldly nature. And I'm going to keep feeling left out in the cold, like it might have all these things in the world, but it's not very creative and inspired by love, and it's probably not very balanced. The only person I can change is me. So they'll have other people who are coming in their life to learn these lessons, and some of those people that they could be in a relationship right now, friendship, family, whatever, some of those people have been kind of indulging them. And some of those people are starting to see the truth that they didn't want to see. And some of those people are going to leave. They're going to keep having more high vibrational people leave their life as they keep refusing to heal or grow or mature themselves or get out of their ego or their defensive nature or something. And eventually, they're going to probably end up in relationships with people like themselves. Other people who present themselves one way really have ulterior motives, who maybe are kind of immature and more still inspired more by whatever it is they indulge in or make their life about. And in a lot of ways, it might look victorious and successful, but I think even shadowy people don't like to be in a relationship with people necessarily like themselves. What they would really like is someone who's just and fair and nurturing and loving and supportive, who doesn't kind of make, doesn't necessarily indulge in the things that they indulge in, doesn't need to be the center of attention for some of them, and shadowy Aquarius could be that. It's like, I just want someone who will indulge me being shadowy. But, they might end up having to work with someone who in some ways they kind of feel imprisoned with, that, they kind of indulge them, that other person kind of indulges them, to kind of keep things moving. But neither one of them are people who are really motivated and inspired by love. But shadowy energy can be where people, like, I have an idea, I'll use my emotions manipulatively, I'll use my sexuality manipulatively, I'll use my status and my image and my social clout, my charm or my money or my power, and I'll use these things all manipulatively to keep people moving forward with me, because it looks like victorious and successful by worldly standards. And for some people, because those things manipulate them to such a degree, and they make those things so important in their life, they might have to indulge someone who they feel is more immature or two-faced, or they have someone who's kind of willing to indulge them, but there could definitely be things about them that they don't like. But because it looks good by worldly standards and that person is willing to stay in a relationship with them, they're willing to move forward anyway, because that's the most important thing. I just think, you know, we have the free will to get our divine inheritance and live our more authentic life. And I think some people just know that they don't. And that's kind of knowing they're not living their more authentic life, knowing they're being more two-faced, knowing they're manipulating people, knowing these things manipulate them, but they don't free themselves from it. We can, that's the devil. The devil tries to imprison us. And high vibe energy is trying to free people from things that imprison them. But it does take having work and effort and to love and believe in yourself. And until some people are willing to work through maybe their own lack mentality and why don't they love and believe in themselves? Why don't they live their more authentic life? Why aren't they more independent? It's going to keep imprisoning them, and it could imprison them all their life. And there was that opportunity in their life to free themselves from things to get the justice they deserve. But some people can always look to other people to be the answer, like, no, I don't have to learn to love and believe in myself. And that can be people that are always chasing other people to get them to love them. But when they get people in their life who love them, that really wasn't the answer. They had loving, encouraging people in their life where they could have done this work within themselves. People can only provide the environment for you to do that work within themselves. Other people could kind of point that out and they're like, no, 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 you're wrong. Well, and you must be the wrong person. And if I find someone who, again, it's this idea that it's kind of like wanting to be immature, like a child. I am looking for someone to be the answer to all my problems, but no one is the answer to all their problems except them. And when they have loving and encouraging people, well, then it requires them to be inspired to get more balance and quit being in this more immature, codependent energy. But for some reason, that is their philosophy of life, that if I just find the right person, or it's like perpetually chasing someone. If I get that person, why does it have to be that person? And part of it might be because that person kind of has some traits and characteristics of some people in their life. Over here we have Aquarius and Leo energy, that they really wanted to have authentically love them, not more kind of superficial. And if they can get someone who kind of acts or behaves like that person, they can get that person to change and get out of that energy to love them, like they think that's the answer. But they might end up just chasing after people who have traits and qualities like certain people who could have made them feel a little unloved and rejected. And if they can get in a relationship with someone like that, that person probably, either that's their comfort zone and I don't want to live out in my comfort zone, and even if they're bossy or controlling or manipulative or egotistical or more about the world, that's my comfort zone and I want to stay in that comfort zone. Or getting in a relationship and repeating that pattern with someone will kind of make them realize how they don't like it, and then that can kind of force them to do this work within themselves. If some of you have been there yourself, you can know how that works. And being in relationships, it's kind of like some people need to be in relationships almost with people who keep rejecting them in order to force them to do this work within themselves. So there you go. Virgo, I wish you peace, love, and joy. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.